So I've been sick of being told in the recent years, especially since this whole Nazi Trump movement started, which has been 10 years by the way, of how the American establishment and all these dumb Republicans have been saying how Republicans are for small government and Democrats are for big government and overregulation. I mean, it's actually the opposite of that. I've been lied to, and Trump Republicans are the opposite. They support big government control for anyone who isn't rich or white. I mean, that's the way it is. They have no problem with people of color and their kids rotting in concentration camps all over the country and suffering from malnutrition and very unsanitary living conditions and getting beaten by these Nazi ICE agents. They have no problem with that. As long as all this crap doesn't interfere with the lives of rich white people and their luxuries, they're not going to care. They're not going to do anything about it. They won't even be willing to criticize Trump over it. Our own communist government murdered U.S. citizens who were protesting against ICE in Minneapolis, and still conservatives don't care. And most people would rather just stay silent and forget about it instead of admitting that this country has a huge moral problem and we're super corrupt and we suck as a nation right now. As long as rich white conservatives can live in this luxury, they're still going to believe that America is the greatest country in the world, and they'll call themselves patriots. And then they'll say, well, they had to vote for Trump because they're so pro-life. And then they'll keep going on saying how Trump is their savior because they're pro-life and he's their savior. And by the way, their white Christian nationalist movement is the most anti-life and anti-humanitarian movement going on in this country at this time. It really is. I mean, all these conservative so-called patriots will conform and abide to all the cruel and immoral laws and actions created under the Trump administration, even though it's super big government control, because it'll preserve their rich white privilege in America. I mean, regardless of how much it harms everyone else, which is actually most people, by the way, who aren't both rich, ultra-rich, and white, they won't care. Republicans will spend all their time trash-talking the idea of universal health care or even a more affordable health care system. And then somehow they'll have no problem with Trump handing out billions and billions of dollars a year in free subsidies to rich white farmers who already have a bunch of wealth from all the land that they own and continue to pollute the air, water, and soil and poison our food supply, which actually makes us a sicker nation with more chronic disease and makes health care more expensive. I mean, MAGA doesn't have a problem with these farmers and big ag companies getting all the free handouts and bailouts. But somehow asking for a more affordable health care system is a real radical left idea. This is how messed up they are. And they'll go on to falsely say how wind and solar energy is unreliable and inefficient. Just because a white supremacist dictator said so. They just believe everything he says and they worship him as his savior. Like he's their God. I mean, and they still support him even though he's cutting subsidies for wind and solar setups for homeowners, which would have made homeowners more self-reliant on energy efficient and less reliant on depending on the evil corporations that are in cahoots with our communist government in order to get energy and electricity. But Trump cut all them subsidies and the Republicans still don't have a problem with it. It's just so messed up. But somehow giving more billions and billions of dollars a year to the elites and the oil companies to continue to screw us over and control the gas prices and the energy market is patriotic in the Republicans' view. They think that's patriotic. Just give a bunch of free handouts and bailouts to the oil companies, even though they're screwing us over and messing up our natural world. You see, MAGA's ideal American ideology is laws that promote cruelty and unfair rules and regulations for anyone who isn't rich and white, or anyone who is underprivileged in any way, which is a lot of people, unfortunately, that are suffering from this. And MAGA also loves promoting corporate welfare funded by our tax dollars for socialism, for the privileged, ultra-rich white elites that run these big corporations that screw us over in corporate America. That's rich white privilege. I mean, this isn't a true free market capitalistic system at all, nor is it equality and justice for all. I was taught that that's what this country was about in government school, but I guess I was taught wrong. At least now it's not. It just exposes how these Trump Republicans love big government control. They say they're for small government, but they're for huge government control and all these rules and regulations, as long as it benefits them as ultra-rich white people, even though it abolishes human rights and freedom for everyone else. They just don't care. I mean, the average American who isn't ultra-rich, which is actually a lot of us, we all have to conform to all these unfair rules and regulations in our everyday lives. We got to pay taxes in many forms. We had to pay so many fees and permits and all this crap we got to abide to and conform to just to get by every day. And I think that's unfair. But then somehow the corporate elites in corporate America, these big evil corporations, can do whatever they want, maximize profits while screwing us over and controlling us, and they don't have any accountability. They don't have to be held accountable at all whatsoever. I mean, they're the ones who are responsible for causing climate change, poisoning our food supply, poor and unaffordable health care. It's all these big corporations, these elites, that are responsible for it. You got the big oil industry, the big ag and chemical companies, the big pharmaceutical companies, and big tech. I mean, they're the ones who should be held accountable for all this crap. But it's called rich white privilege, and Trump Republicans don't have a problem with it, even though it's connected to big government, because the rich and white people can gain more wealth and control over it. That's what it is. And if you're angry about this like I am, I mean, I'm so frustrated about it. I can't talk about it because so many people I talk to, you know, they don't want to hear it because it's too much negativity and it makes them uncomfortable. I mean, they'd rather live in their fantasy world and just claim that America is still a great country, even though we currently suck at this moment. And I guess as we the people, the best thing we can do, especially as investors, if we invest in the stock market, the best thing we can do from that point of view is if we own any stock in these evil companies that are immoral and corrupt, a lot of the big oil companies, big ag, big tech, big pharma, the best thing we can do is just sell all them stocks immediately and never invest in that again, as long as they're going to be corrupt and in cahoots with our communist government. They need to lose a bunch of shareholders and the stock prices need to plummet. That's how the message is going to get across, that we the people are not happy about this. Or if you're employed by one of these elites, best thing you can do is just quit your job immediately. As soon as you're financially able to, just walk out. Make sure all your coworkers are aware of why, too. Just spread the message. And I mean, you might get fired for it beforehand, but that might be what it takes. Something like some kind of a nationwide strike on these things by a lot of us who are just angry about this system. That's the only way we can really fight fascism together. And until that happens, this country is just going to continue to burn to the ground because the people in power don't have anyone to stop them, unfortunately. Thanks for listening to my rant. I get frustrated about these things and just need to rant it out sometimes. So appreciate you listening. And if you have anything you want to add, feel free to add to the comments and share anything you want to add to the discussion. I'm just curious to what other people have to view on this, or if they have any points they want to add. Have a good day.